let's get a little like cozier, get a little comfier, coming close. July. This was my best reading month yet. As usual in my wrap-ups, I'm going to start with the lowest rated book all the way to the highest rated book that I read this month, starting out with 2 DNFs, which I'm not even going to go into detail about. I got 50% of the way through Quicksilver. That is kind of blowing up on Book Talk and Bookstagram right now. I don't want to talk about my thoughts and feelings. If you want to know, you can go to my Bookstagram and kind of see what I said on there. It was just kind of all over the place for me. And then I also DNF'd The Fiancé Dilemma by Elena Armaz. I read The Long Game, I think last month or 2 months ago, and really enjoyed it. I gave it 3 stars. I thought it was pretty good for my reputation with Elena Armaz. Like, I haven't enjoyed a lot of her books, so picking up The Fiancé Dilemma I think was just like wrong time. It was not the right mood. I had also just read 2 Marriage of Convenience books, and this one was like a fake marriage kind of thing going on. I was not in the mood for it, so I DNF'd The Fiancé Dilemma as well. I was given an ARC of that one from NetGalley, so I'm sad that I DNF'd it, but I've got a life to live, you know? But other than those 2 DNFs, this genuinely, rating-wise, was the best month that I've had this year. I found some really, really good books. Gosh dang it, I put those out of order. Oh my god, this is gonna be a pain. Okay, we're starting over. I'm putting these on the ground. Starting with the 3-star category, Wayward by Amelia Hart. I liked this book. It was a slow start to the month. Like I said, I had so many good ones, but towards the end of the month. This one was the first book that I picked up. I had a friend in town. I was slowly reading / listening to it, but I think having a friend in town kind of made it hard to read because I was kind of focused on her. This is a historical fiction with a little bit of like magical realism in there, set in 3 different timelines with 3 different female characters, all within the same family of like witches. It's not very heavy on the magical realism, nor is it like fantasy. It's definitely women's lit. There is some historical fiction element to it, but there also is a present day, so it's like contemporary. I don't know, there's a lot going on. I'm all about girl power. I'm all about girl power. But how come every single male in this book was utterly disgusting? Like, the worst men on earth were in this book. I didn't love and agree with some of the stuff that they were saying about femininity and some of the things going on. And you know, I think in concept, I love the idea of like a feminine, witchy kind of cottage vibe. Like, that is what I'm looking for. But this one, I had trouble immersing myself in this story and these 3 characters. I didn't really buy into their struggles and what they were going through, even though, please look up the trigger warnings because there were some detailed triggering things happening, and that was kind of heartbreaking to read about. So, reminded me a lot of Sarah Penner's book, Don't Turn Around, what is it called? The Lost Apothecary. Did remind me a lot of that book, which I also gave 3 stars. And can we like please talk about that cover? I mean, beautiful cover. Love it. The next book I actually listened to, as you guys know, the past, I would say like 6 to 7 months, like this whole year, I've been really struggling with audiobooks. But one of the audiobooks that I did pick up this month was recommended to me by my friend Steph, called Sadie by Courtney Summers. The audiobook of this was incredible. It's kind of podcast radio-ish style, so there's a lot of good like sound effects. There are like actual sound effects, like the main character, he's kind of this radio show podcaster kind of guy. He would like talk to or interview someone, and you would hear like the background noise of like dogs barking or like things in the background, like a city noise. Like, the narrating and the atmosphere of this audiobook was top tier. I would recommend this book just for the audiobook. It's about 2 sisters, a disappearance, and a murder, and I don't want to like say much more. It was a pretty dark book for being young adult, and even though that the plot didn't intrigue me a ton, it took me a really long time to finish this audiobook. I was still immersed with the characters, and the way it was told wasn't my favorite, but again, I think that's more of a preference thing. Like, I do think people would really like this book. One thing that really did bother me was the ending, and I don't want to say anything because I feel like that could be a spoiler and it might deter or drag people towards the book, so I don't want to say anything. But the ending was not my cup of tea. Let's get to the 4 stars. And again, like I said, this month was so wonderful, so I have a few 4 stars, a few 4.5, and a few 5 stars. So let's get to the good part. Starting with the first 4-star book, it was Reckless by Lauren Roberts. This was my book club pick this month, and it was so wonderful to read it with a group of people. It made it so much more fun to read. And in August, we're reading The Women by Kristen Hanna, so if you want to read that as well, the link to my book club is in the description below. This is a YA fantasy romance series. This is book 2, so it's Powerless, Powerful, which is a novella, and then it's Reckless. Kai made my jaw drop multiple times. The way this man talks, the way he speaks to Peyton is all I ever want in a romance novel. Like, his words were beautiful, a little too like poetic because no man is like that. Besides Kai, Powerless ended on a cliffhanger. So we get to Reckless, and it's exactly what a second book usually is. It kind of had that second book syndrome where really it makes sense that it's like an in-between book. Like, it's book 2. Because not much happened, but so much happened, and it was like the biggest game of cat and mouse, like Peyton and Kai kind of chasing after each other because of the way book 1 ended, yet they both were together the whole book, which I loved, by the way. But the way that they were together, I was like, they're supposed to be hating each other, but obviously that they're kind of like forced proximity stuck together. They can't really hate each other. At one point they're chained together. Like, there's so many elements in this book going on that I think it was just second book syndrome. Not a bad thing. I actually liked that we got all of the attention on Kai and Peyton. Like, that was incredible. I loved how they were together for that long, and it was just them. Like, barely any other side characters kind of peeped in, but it did get repetitive. But the banter, the wittiness, again, the words just in general, the way Lauren Roberts writes makes you fall in love with Kai and Peyton and the story in general. So I'm very excited for book 3 because the way book 2 ended, a little predictable, but looking forward to what happens because of this book. The next book that I rated 4 stars was Two Twisted Crowns. Now, this is in a vlog that's actually coming out in a few days, so I don't want to talk too much about it because I talked so much about it in that vlog. Second book syndrome doesn't exist with this one. This one, compared to One Dark Window, blew me away. So the biggest thing that happened, I think that I liked a lot more in this one, was the addition of Elm's POV. Elm is a kind of like side character in the first book, but definitely a main character in this one. Wow, he kind of like Kai, actually, from Reckless, like super, super good with his words and like very flirty and gave me butterflies sometimes. I loved his addition. Now, the continuation of Elspeth and Raven was okay. I expected a little bit more from them, but at the end, Raven and Elspeth kind of picked up because some stuff's going on with Elspeth at the beginning, but for a sequel, so good. In the nightmare, the guy who's trapped in her head, I just know he's hot. Like, I just know. I just know. His humor, oh my god, he's so sarcastic and so fun, but also like a dick, like the best. I loved him. The last book that I gave 4 stars was, let me grab it. This book is also in that vlog, so hold out for a major summary and like my thoughts and feelings, but this is about Raphael and Ellie. Raphael is a single dad and Ellie is his nanny. Well, his son's nanny, not his nanny. Ellie is also a songwriter, kind of on the side, but some stuff in her past kind of made her stop writing songs. And I will say, this book, although I loved it and I gave it 4 stars for a reason, there were so many tropes to keep up with in this book. I mean, the different plots that were going on, the different side plots and side characters involved, it was kind of overwhelming. It is a dense book. It's almost 700 pages, so there should be a lot going on, but it seemed like a little bit too much at times. They go on this 2-week trip to Hawaii, spend a lot of time together. Nico, Raphael's son, is there. I loved Nico in this book. He was so cute, so funny, and I loved the relationship that Ellie and Nico had, like nanny and kid. This was a good one. Took me by surprise. I liked this one better than the first book, Love Redesigned. Loved this one. If you didn't like Redesigned, you might like this. I had 2 4.5 star books in the first one. I love how the books are on the ground in this video because I just have to like reach down. Hopeless by Elsie Silver. This is about Beau and Bailey. Book 5 in the Chestnut Spring series. It is a contemporary adult romance novel based in a small town, cowboys, lots of different cowboys. Bailey is a bartender and also the town outcast because of her family's reputation. Her family kind of sucks. Like, she's a sweetheart, but her family sucks, so the whole town hates her whole family. It's a little unfair. And Beau, a frequent visitor of this bar, makes a bet with her and says, my last name can make your reputation better. And she takes it to heart and she's like, fine, let's get married. So they get engaged. It's a fake engagement, fake dating. So good. Age gap, bigger age gap. Like, she's also one of the tropes, and I didn't love this. This is in the summary, and I didn't love this aspect, but she's a virgin, if that's something, a trope that you enjoy. Bailey made this book what it is. Like, her personality, the way she just had no filter. Like, she would say things that would make Beau blush, and that I loved. But Beau is also going through so much trauma from the military, lots of PTSD, and Bailey really helps him through that. Theo from Reckless and Beau from Hopeless. Elsie Silver knows how to write her men, and those two are my favorite. You can't beat them. The next 4.5-star book blew me away this month. I can't stop thinking about it. The Book of Azrael. I did get 2 bookmarks from the Bookish box for this book, which was kind of nice. So this edition is from the Bookish box, and it's so pretty. I love it. The art inside is so beautiful. The characters, Liam and Diana. This is a paranormal fantasy romance novel. Plan to read book 2 in August. So excited for it. Like, the most excited. It's on my TBR card and I can't wait to pick it up. I actually picked this book up because I had read back to back to back like 3 to 4 romance novels, and I was like, I cannot do a single fake dating trope one more time. Like, I was so done with it. So I was like, please, Patreon, someone give me a book recommendation. Someone recommended this, and I was like, oh, I have the physical copy, and it's just sitting on my TBR card. So thank you, Patreon, for that recommendation. A true enemies to lovers book. Like, you want enemies to lovers, this is it. Diana and Liam. Diana is this creature, demon, vampire. They like drink blood, but also like has a lot of other powers, I guess, or like deals with fire a lot. She's like indestructible, honestly. Like, there's a lot of things going on with Diana. I don't really know what she is. Don't ask me to pronounce what she is because it says it in the book and I can't pronounce it right. I can say it in my head, but not out loud. And Liam is a god, so like all-powerful, extremely immortal kind of god, you know? Diana is kind of owned or enslaved by this man named Caden, and Caden is like, I need to find the Book of Azrael, this book that's kind of like a myth. I need to find this book to open the rifts, to open the realms up, to bring back more vampire, demon, fiery things. More of Diana's. And Liam despises Diana's kind. Like, Liam's main goal in life as a god is to like get rid of Diana's kind. And eventually things work out to where they have to work together. So it's reluctant allies. There's so much tension because they actually hate each other. The way that this reluctant allies, enemies to lovers worked out was one of my favorites that I've ever read in a fantasy romance. So excited to see where book 2 goes because the way this one ended was spicy. And not like smutty wise, there was smut, but like I'm talking like the way this one ended was scary, and I'm ready for book 2. Now, getting to the best category. I have 2 5 stars this month. Which one do I want to start with? We'll start with the one I read first. Play Along by Liz Tomford. I did do a full review on this book, so I'm not going to talk much about it. Go watch that video if you want a full one. I feel like I've talked about this book in every video this month. Isaiah and Kennedy. Kennedy is an athletic trainer. Isaiah is on a baseball team. Kennedy is the athletic trainer on Isaiah's professional baseball team. Okay? Very, very short summary. I'm not talking about anything else. Just know that it's 5 stars. And I did tab a lot of my favorite parts. This is book 4 in the Windy City series, tied with The Right Move. And if you guys know, The Right Move by Liz Tomford was my #1 book last year. This, right up there. I'm speechless. I'm speechless. I think my favorite part about this book, and what I'm realizing I really love in romance books, is when the man falls first, but it's also like so deeply head over heels obsessed with the female. Like the way Isaiah treats Kennedy, I mean, it's like every girl's dream. Like I'm in love with Isaiah. She did it again. I knew I would love it. This was one of my most anticipated for the year, and it didn't disappoint. The last and final book, Redeeming Six by Chloe Walsh. This is the first Chloe Walsh book that I've given 5 stars. This is book 4 in the Tom and Boy series, the second book in Joey and Aoife's little series. So it's Saving Six and Redeeming Six. And Joey in this book had the most character development I've seen a character go through. Like this from start to finish, Joey was like this with his character development, like all over the place, and it was an ebb and flow with his character development, but it was beautifully done. And I'm so excited to read the next book, Taming Seven, because I hope we just get a little bit of Joey and Aoife. And I don't want to talk about the specific trope in this one because I think a lot of people probably know, but it could be spoiling, so I don't want to do that. Joey is kind of the father figure for his siblings, and also in a really, really toxic, terribly abusive, mentally and physically abusive household. And Joey's had to kind of like keep everyone alive. Not kind of, he has had to keep everyone alive. And Aoife is kind of like his saving grace. Like Aoife is what he wants and what he envisions for himself because of some of the things he's going through. And again, I don't want to spoil anything. He really doesn't see a future for himself, and Aoife kind of is that future. Aoife is the only person in his life that he's like, I want to live for her. It's a little toxic. Joey and Aoife kind of give me BJ and Magnolia vibes, but healthier. Like, it's still toxic, but healthier than BJ and Magnolia. BJ and Magnolia are a little cuckoo crazy. Joey and Aoife are so in love with each other, and nothing can tear them apart, and this book proves it, so... This book will also be in that reading vlog come this weekend, so. That is it for this month. I loved July. Like, this is what I want every single month to be. A little bit of romance, a little bit of historical fiction, a little bit of fantasy, like perfect combo. And I cannot wait for August. Like August, my lineup is so good. Join the book club. The link is in the description below. Like this video and subscribe if you want to support me, and I will see you in the next video.